All right, my mini split is Pioneer. It's a 12,000 BTU unit, I think is what I got for this space. I've already opened up the back side of the wall unit. I've carefully straightened out the piping to where they are ready to go through the hole and be mounted on the wall. And since I've already got the mounting bracket up, I'm hoping that it's a simple matter of just lifting this into place, putting the piping through the wall, and snap locking it where it goes. Hello and welcome to another episode. I'm in Arkansas again, and I won't be here for very long this time. I've actually been here for several days with my youngest daughter, and a lot of that time was spent catching up on mowing and the sort of chores that need to be done when you're taking care of, I guess there's a couple acres that I take care of, and still a lot of trees and stuff to trim and deadfall to cut down on the other 4 acres. But for now, I have got this wall drywalled and painted, and I'm going to put the inside portion of the mini split up. Was kind of my goal of one of the things I wanted to do for this trip. So I've already mounted the base plate for it. I laid it out, and the one thing that's really nice about being able to plan for things ahead of time, I've actually had the mini split for some time before I even did the framing, I think, on this wall. So I actually planned for where it was going to be, and there's blocking in the wall. So every one of the screws that's in there goes into something solid. I know that I've seen in other videos that they'll try to hit a stud with one of their screws or something like that, and then use a drywall anchor on the other side, which is probably more than enough. Those units really don't weigh a lot. But with blocking in there and knowing where it is, it makes the job a whole lot easier and far more secure. Got the hole cut for the piping, and this, instead of going through to an exterior wall, goes into the stairwell. And what that'll do is I'll run it down inside this wall in the stairwell, and then come out the next floor down under the stairs, and then I'll run under the stairs, and I can coil up any excess tubing that I've got under there and then go directly through the wall to the exterior to set the outside unit. I know for certain I'm not going to have time to set the outside unit on this trip. It's really not my goal to have this working yet, since I'm not insulated anyway. Stick around and I'll show you what it looks like on the other side of the wall. Stairway. And when I drywalled that, I wanted to go ahead before I drywalled it to insulate most of the wall, because it's going to be easier to insulate from the upstairs side than it would be from the stairwell, although I can set up a scaffold in this stairwell and be able to do it. And you can look below and see that we are a Sasquatch-friendly household here. All right, I'm hoping this part is boring to both of us and that this is not a challenge to set, but I'm going to go ahead and try to snap that wall unit into place. I don't know how much this thing weighs, probably 30 pounds. But there are an awful lot of plastic parts that would be quite fragile. Good afternoon. Well, before I can hang my exterior unit, which will mount about 2 feet to the right of that back door there, I've got some siding to do. I will have the unit to hang, which will be wall hung, and I'll hang it probably a foot to 18 inches off the ground. Keep splashing rain from getting it, and the snow will probably never get that deep here. But that should protect that unit, and then I'll have a disconnect set too. So let me get started on some siding. I'm not sure how well you can see it. I'll try to get it close to the camera, but what I am doing is tapering the end of the board 30 degrees, and I'm doing that where you see me splicing in my vertical splices, and then also at the bottom. And what that'll help the water to do is to drip off that edge and not go back up behind the siding. Well, you might see behind me there the little target on the wall. That is where I'll end up coming through the wall with all of the control and refrigeration piping, and then my unit will set just to the left of that. So I'm going to put up 2 more boards yet. I'll do that in the morning. I'm running out of daylight and I got a lot of stuff to get picked up, so I will see you in the morning. That has things taken care of for the siding and board and batten that I need to do for right now. So it's time to clean up my mess here, and then I'll get started doing some drilling for piping. All right, I have started drilling a 2 5/8 inch diameter hole through the wall from the outside here. I've already done one from the inside. We'll go in just a minute or two and take a look at that. But if you look at the board that I pulled out, you can see that it's definitely being drilled at an angle, and that angle is upward, so we don't get moisture back into the building. I'm through the siding. I need to get through the sheathing yet. And now the only thing standing between me and the hole on the inside is the insulation in that wall. Let's go inside and take a look. And then here's the hole from the inside. You can see the light coming through from outside. The lines will run basically across the bottom of the stairway and up this space here. You can see the hole that is at the second floor level there. And then we'll go take a look up top in just a minute. Now, I had purchased a 25-foot kit. They sell Pioneer sells a 16-foot or a 25-foot kit. And 16 feet wasn't going to be quite enough, but 25 is going to be too much. So to keep this looking professional, I will keep coiled up any additional line and tie it to the bottom of the stairway here, and then from the outside it will look quite professional. Okay, the hole that you just saw from down below is that hole right up there. It'll come through the flooring and it'll stay inside the wall, a 2 5/8 diameter hole there. Kind of difficult to see here, but you can see the lines that have already come through the wall from up above. And then inside, the inside unit has already been set. I did that earlier this episode or in another episode, I don't recall which. Well, doggone it, as soon as I start recording, the wind comes up. Hopefully it doesn't interfere too badly. I've got the spot decided exactly where the outdoor unit's going to be, and I got the brackets mounted. So I'm all ready to set that outdoor unit. Let's go. For a wall-mounted unit, we got to leave a minimum of 4 inches of clearance on the back. And since I've got room for a little more than that, I think I'll go a little extra. All right, I am on the inside, about to hook up this control cable. Fortunately, it is, looks like about a 14 or 16 gauge Type SO cable, so it's pretty soft. But the first complaint that I may have about this system is there's not a lot of room to make up this electrical connection here. So I'll see what I can do. And it is important, according to the instructions, that it is hooked up exactly the same on the inside that it is on the outside. And the only one that I see as being critical is the green goes to the ground. From left to right, I'm going to run black, red, white, and then the green goes in the ground terminal, of course. And fortunately, they do have a pin crimped to the end of these connections so that I'm not having to worry about getting frayed wires into these connections, and there appears to be plenty of room to get them in. This is actually a little easier than I was anticipating. Unfortunately, I can't set up in a real good spot to be able to show you what I'm doing here. I've already run the line through the 2 5/8 hole that I've got drilled here and down here, going down toward the utility room. Now, I'm going to have to uncoil here, push through there, go down below, and do a little bit of coiling down there. So I'll be doing a lot of back and forth, and not a lot to see probably. Maybe the best thing is to show you after I'm all finished. But let's go ahead and run this in. All right, I'll start by, I've got everything aligned about like it should be. I'll start by doing the smaller line of the two. Start by removing dust covers. I will apply a little bit of Nylog to the back side of that flare. Make it good and slippery. And then also to the threads. And that line appeared to have been somewhat pressurized. A good thing, I suppose, so no contaminants get into it. Make this connection as quickly as I can so I don't get any contaminants in it. And I've got that finger tight. And now the 1/4 inch line is supposed to be torqued to 11 pounds, 11 foot-pounds. Okay, we can take a look at what I've got so far. You can see the penetration through the wall. Piping coming down, the connections made here. A little bit difficult to see. The drain line is to this point so far. And instead of using the flex tubing that was included with the kit, I'm actually going to run PEX from here the rest of the way down to the drain below. So I still have that to do, but other than that, this up here is pretty much complete. You can see my hot and cold water lines, PEX lines coming in. I now have that power cable, power control cable attached to the wall with a loop of about a foot extra cable in it. Let's go downstairs and look. Okay, and here, again, my hot and cold water piping coming down, the refrigerant lines coming down, and the power cable, the power control cable coming down. And they are going through the wall penetration. Step back just a little bit, and my excess coil then is coiled up on the ceiling here, out of the way, and it will look professional from the outside. Let's go outside and take a look at what I've got. And the drain line, when I go to completing that, that will not run through that hole in the wall to the outside. Where it will run is across the ceiling here, then down the wall, and I've got a floor drain there that about 50 feet outside, out in front, it drains to daylight through a 2-inch line. and that should prevent anything from freezing. And outside, the refrigerant lines are run and connected, and that power control cable is run and connected. And once I get this cover in place, this here will be tucked up into that hole in the wall, so there won't be any exposed power cable. Even though that is a Type SO cable, it can have outdoor exposure. And then the other one will mount to a disconnect that will sit right here on the wall, penetrate the wall, and go through to a point of about here where my power panel is directly behind it. So it's actually a pretty short run of conduit and power to get electricity to this thing. Again, we can look at it closer. These connections closer. So I have a drain line to run and power to run out here, and then I'll be ready to button this up on the outside. Welcome back, and I must apologize. I ended up finishing this thing without you. I have been really busy the past 2 or 3 days and spending a lot of time in town and such. So I didn't have a lot of time to work on this. In fact, it was the night before last that I decided I'd finish this thing up in the dark. Well, dark outside anyway. I used flashlights and such to get everything going. But I am honestly very impressed with how this thing works. I finished hooking up everything inside and out. I put it through the cooling mode, which I had to force because the temperature in here was cool enough it wouldn't go into the cooling mode on its own. But it cools really well, blows out really cold air, so I'm sure I'm going to enjoy that in the summer. But now that it's winter, it's early December. The outside temperature right now is actually quite pleasant. It's around 50 degrees. And in here it's 57. And this thing would bring it up to 70 degrees, well, probably within an hour, the entire room. I don't have my door yet that I've ordered for this outside, or for this entry door that at the top of the stairway. And as soon as I get that, I'll probably gain even more efficiency. Once the floor's insulated, I'll gain more efficiency there. But it really brings up the temperature in here quickly. It's super quiet. Right now, I'll stop for just a second. It's in high fan mode and really makes very little noise. The one thing that I did outside that I did as best I could, probably still not good enough, but that'll change too, is that there is some vibration from that there's vibration from the wall-mounted unit that's being transferred into the wall. So I can actually, from in here, hear the outside unit running. Now, like I said, it will improve once I get that exterior wall insulated, once I get a door in here. That's going to change to probably where I won't hear anything. But for now, I can hear that outside unit a little bit. What I may do is to put some rubber washers on the underside of things. When I bolted it up originally, I put in the vibration isolator between the bracket and the air conditioning unit. But I bolted it up solid with steel washers from below, and I guess I could be still getting a little bit of transfer there of noise that I can reduce by putting in a rubber washer on the bottom side. So I will have that yet to do. And even if that doesn't help at all, I can absolutely live with it the way that it is because, like I say, there's not a lot of noise, but I can hear it. I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here in just a minute, but this unit is a 12,000 BTU mini split made by Pioneer. It's medium efficiency, this unit is. They do make a higher efficiency unit. The thing that I really like about it is that when it goes into a defrost cycle, it shuts the fan down or to a very low speed to where that defrost in the indoor unit, I guess the defrost is actually in the outdoor unit, but as this becomes cold, the coils up here, it turns the fan off if I'm in a heating cycle, which is a pretty nice thing. I have a friend who has a similar unit made by another company, and he says his fan continues to run when it's in that defrost cycle, and he says it really cools down the room a lot. So far as operation, I love this unit. I think it's awesome. Operating now off of 230 volts. I've got 15 amp fuses in the disconnect outside, and it's actually using about 2,200 watts of power when it's in the full heating mode. So not a terrible amount of power, or no, not 22. It used 1,200 watts of power when it's in the full heating mode. So doesn't consume a lot of power. On a day like this where I've got cloudy skies, or maybe a couple days of it, I'd probably end up having to supplement power with a generator for a little while, that or really watch my usage of this. We'll see how that goes. Thanks for joining. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.